It's time now for a look through the papers with Diptika Laurent. Hello, Diptika.
Hi, Sanam.
You're kicking off first with reactions to the sentencing of course, Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein.
That's right. The disgraced producer was sentenced to 23 years in prison for sexual assault and rape. And not surprisingly, there's not a lot of love lost for Weinstein in the papers today. This is from the British Daily, the Daily Telegraph, deploring the fact that rather than showing any signs of penitence, Weinstein chose to liken himself to a victim of McCarthyism in a bizarre rant after the sentencing, in which he said he's, quote, worried about the state of the U.S. where thousands of men are losing due process. But one writer for the Chicago Tribune says he needn't be worried about the state of the country because with him behind bars, everyone is a lot safer. The ruling, which means Weinstein will be in prison until he's 90, is being called a victory for his accusers. They will know that, I quote, their voices made a difference and their difference made ripples, the likes of which we'll never be able to count.
Diptika, let's stay with the country, with the US, on a story that we're headlining on today. That's, of course, the measures announced by, rather drastic measures announced by the US President Donald Trump in a bid to curb the spread of COVID-19.
Yeah, that's right. He's banned essentially all travel from Europe for the next 30 days. But this is just one measure in a list of quite drastic measures. The NBA, of course, suspended its season after a player tested positive for the virus. The upcoming St. Patrick's Day parade has been cancelled. This also coming after actor Tom Hanks and actress Rita Wilson both tested positive for the virus in Australia. So the New York Daily News today declaring war on COVID-19 in its front page there. Now, these measures do come after a lengthy delay from the on behalf of Donald Trump in actually reacting. The New York Times has this really interesting piece today about what it calls a fumbled global response to the virus, which is actually one of the reasons that the World Health Organization upgraded it to a pandemic yesterday. It comes at a time when world leaders are ever more fractious as the UK is trying to navigate its post-EU world while dealing with this crisis. Donald Trump finds himself quite isolated too. And there's also a lot of skepticism about the individualistic responses to the virus as opposed to trying to find a collective response.
And of course, this is what the French newspaper L'Opinion is, what they're looking at.
Yeah, on their front page, they actually call the COVID-19 virus the virus of each man for himself. After Italy, France is the hardest hit in Europe, and indeed, French President Emmanuel Macron will speak to the country today. But the paper wonders why France and Germany, for instance, have put the pin on exporting their own resources when we know countries like Italy desperately need resources in fighting the virus. China, for instance, said it would send intensive care breathing units, masks, and protective suits to Italy in what the paper calls a strong geopolitical gesture. But you get the feeling that they wonder why Europe is not doing more to help its neighbors. And you see that kind of attitude being sent up in this cartoon today by CAC with the EU referees saying, oh, these Italians are always so overdramatic. Obviously, a sarcastic comment.
And of course, on that note, we're seeing reactions in Italy because they have introduced even more strict measures.
Yeah, that's right. And the Italian daily Il Manifesto calls the pandemic a pandemonium in its front page, saying that the World Health Organization announcement was really what everyone feared would happen, even though it says the term of pandemic refers to geographical spread and not the severity of the disease. Meanwhile, in Spain, the Spanish daily El Periodico evoking a global pandemic, with health authorities there worried that the crisis could last several more months.
You're going to finish off with supermodel Naomi Campbell somehow becoming a pin-up for this coronavirus crisis.
Perhaps I should probably
Strange way of wording it.
Yeah, maybe we should reword. Let's not say pin-up. Let's say poster child for how to react. So she's a self-proclaimed germaphobe, admitting to wiping down her airplane seat, hand rest, the remote control, tray table, all of that. This was even in the best of times before the coronavirus epidemic. Well, she's really upped her game in the wake of the coronavirus epidemic. She turned up to the airport in a full hazmat suit recently, complete with a mask, gloves. And
is that her?
That is her, in a matching suitcase because, fashion first and all. This picture was posted to her Instagram account. In fact, last year when she talked about her ritual, her cleaning ritual, she sort of got ridiculed. But, You know what? Maybe she gets a last laugh because maybe we should all be upping our coronavirus protection game.
Are you? What are you doing?
I'm not going this far.
What are you
Washing
doing?
my
Washing
hands
your hands.
regularly.
Same here.
All the time, which is something I already did
I know,
anyway.
but slightly more excessively. The skin's wearing off.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for that update. Of course, if you want to follow any of Dipti's stories, you can go to our website. That's www.france24.com.